I want to welcome everyone today. Today's working session of the Rockland Board of Sewer Commissioners. This meeting is being taped for playback later on WRPF's YouTube. These are working session meetings for the commissioners. There's no public comment except for those parties listed on the agenda. But the public is welcome to attend, and we encourage you to do so. With that said, I'll take a motion to open the meeting.
Make the motion.
Dan made the motion.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor? Mr. DeRoss?
Yes.
Ms. Valley?
Yes.
Mr. Heschman, yes. Continuation of old business. Well, I want to bring everyone up to speed with some conversations I've had with Wright Pearson. This is not part of the striptease, it's not part of the app. I've had concerns going along with the administrative order in meeting the phosphorus compliance matter. So 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, let me give you the exact date, December 20th, Rick Kotush, myself, and Kevin Olson had a conversation with Dave Turing at the EPA, not to request an extension, but to just feel them out how things were going. The primary, and I'll put this into the minutes, the primary focus of the meeting was to discuss the dates related to phosphorus compliance based on the NIPD's permit and the administrative order. The 3 dates that they gave us originally were extended with the NIPD's permit, and the EPA extended our order to submit the first phosphorus report that was originally due on February 23rd. They extended it to January 24th, which we had already submitted, so we're way ahead of that game. But they did not extend the other dates in that order, and I brought that to Kevin's attention. Those dates were the process change to comply with the total phosphorus and the EPA total compliance date, which means to have a structure in place to do that. Now, Veolia did a follow-up study on the phosphorus, and they agreed with Wright Pierce that a secondary or tertiary system is going to be required to treat that. Now, we have met it with chemical additions. That's just a waste of money. We're generating more sludge. Cost of chemicals are going up by 70% yearly. But the key is we did control it. We pointed out that we controlled it in a very dry period. Now, phosphorus grows in the April-October timeframe, and with heat, it grows quicker. We had the heat, but we had a very dry summer. So we asked them. We noted to Dave Turin that that they did extend the dates, and we wanted to go further. What it's coming down to is we got to start applying funding to do it. If we wanted to meet the EPA's deadlines, here's what we came up with. We'd have to, at this town meeting, request money to go with a preliminary design, and that preliminary design would also mean hiring a project manager to oversee the project. And to meet the current deadlines, we'd have to have the preliminary design would have to begin in July of 23 to complete the project evaluation and all the other forms. They have that would have to wrap up by 2024, which right now we can't do that. To meet that, would have to appropriate probably $4 million at this town meeting just to prepare a bid to go out to bid for the design. For the design, and you have to have if you want, for lack of a better term, a clerk of the works in place before that even happens. Long story short, we felt the EPA out on an extension deadline, how they would feel about 2 to 3 year extension, and he was lukewarm to that idea. Again, we did not put anything in writing. We went back and we ballied about, we being Rick, Dave, Wright Pierce and I, when would have to have all this funding in. And I asked them, let's see if we could get how they would feel about another extension. Maybe going no further, maybe 4 years to give us some room. We had that conversation this morning, and we came away with the feeling, there was nothing said by the EPA, but that if they'd be very hesitant to grant any extension of that nature. These conversations took place with town council aware of and the town administrator aware of. And we're gonna be talking to him this Thursday. So that's where that went. I mean, I wish I had better news, but that's, Kevin and I both feel like that if we ask for another extension, they're just gonna deny it. And what I would rather see us do is see if we can get that 2 or 3 year extension from them, but that's gonna mean getting the funding, and tank any further requests for extensions for project delays, which we know will come up once we start construction. The key is we have until technically February of 2024 to put in for an extension. We're gonna have to do it sooner rather than later, and Doug will have to give us direction on that on Thursday. What I was looking at, you know, for Sherry, for your benefit, I was looking at USDA funding through the Rural Development Funds and things of that nature. It's like the USDA is based on users, on population, but the quote unquote population is considered sewer users, and I think, Robin, we have about 7,000 users?
6,000.
6,000 users. So, that's where that was. Where's my agenda? Oh, here it is. So again, we had that follow-up conversation today. I asked Kevin to summarize that again, and I think I sent out the minutes of my first conversation to Sherry and Dan. I sent them to Doug and Chris Kenny. Once I get that other one, I'll send that out as well. Phosphorus bench.
It sounds, your take on it is there would not be an extension.
My take on it is that they will grant us a 2.5 to maybe 3 year extension, but that is with starting the process this July, which to start the process, we need $4 million.
$4 million, which is not likely to come from the town.
No, so that's why I started digging, getting all the paperwork I could on USDA funding, rural development, and that's where I need to bring Doug in. I think at this point in time, what I would like to do is have Kevin Olson come in and have a live Zoom meeting with everyone, including the public, and spell it all out for them in cold hard terms. I'd like to do that sooner rather than later. Because it just...
But this is all gonna need to go through procurement as well.
Oh, it's all, absolutely, everything has to go through procurement,
So,
but you
well,
know,
I'm
I
just
just
saying
want...
that adds more time.
That adds to time, well, no, we're planning on that time for the procurement, but the problem is getting the money. How do we go about it? What's the process we follow now at this stage? Because we're not talking $50,000 here.
Yeah, serious funding, okay.
And you know, that's all gonna about however we do this, which was my big fear in the beginning with this rate study. What I was hoping to capture with this rate study, no matter what they had proposed, was that the sewer department got a minimum of 15% return on the user rates.
Mm-hmm.
That figure that Weston Sampson was gonna use for their rate study was based on a $49-50 million sewer upgrade. That had to be taken into consideration. Well, that was in 2020 prices.
We know it's gonna be more.
We've already priced it out that we're talking 78 million. So my feeling was that they were gonna present us with a 35%, maybe even a 50% first year increase. So I said this all follows in line with one after another. So what I'd like to do is maybe at that point, I think we gotta get into the budget, but Robin, I'm sure you got stuff you gotta get to, so you wanna turn it over to you?
Sure.
We can revisit that later if you guys want to.
So the carbon monoxide situation in the building, the heating on this side of the building was out for like 10, 12 days. And when they came to look at it originally, they said it was leaking carbon monoxide, but no detectors went off in the building, which raised the question of whether or not we have them. So Rick Katush is following up with our alarm company, who's due here this week anyway, to look at those, just to see if they're incorporated. It doesn't look like they are, but you know, we could be surprised. Hopefully they are. If not, he'll have them add them to the system. Excuse me, he'll probably speak more about that. Or you can ask him about that when you see him.
He won't be making it today, he's gonna appoint with his wife.
Okay, well, are you having other meetings this week? Will he be in attendance?
Yes, he'll be there
We
tomorrow.
might be able to. So the building department is looking for approval on a project at 17 John Burke Drive. And I know they were having a garage built, and we questioned whether or not it was gonna go over the lateral, because it did change the footprint of the building. So I believe that you spoke to the owner and her builder,
And to the builder.
and do we have any response from
No,
them
I
yet?
spoke with, I went out and looked at it, Robin brought up a point that we looked at the old drawing, and at first I didn't see a problem with it, then I looked at their drawing and our drawing that was on site, on house, and if you looked at their scale and their drawing, it's not, it won't match, it goes over the footprint, it goes over it, over the drain. So what I asked them to do, I spoke with them, they said, they would have no problem moving the drain. I spoke to Pat Brennan, the town engineer, he said that wouldn't be a problem if they do that. When I spoke with the builder, he was gonna get us a new set of prints this week, 2 scales showing us that they are gonna move it. I have not heard one way or the other from that. They also said they were gonna contact the owner, and I have no idea where that stands, if they did.
The owner,
Mandy, no,
yeah.
no, Mandy is the builders.
The owner actually called here, and I told her that you had spoken to her builder and told her to follow up with him. So hopefully he'll get back to us with that.
But you haven't seen the new
drawing.
prints, they're gonna email them to you, okay?
Not yet. So I'll just keep that as pending.
Yep.
Pleasant Street at VFW. You think you had asked me to invite them to a meeting in December, but they would prefer to meet in person with their drawings. Did he contact you directly? Okay, so I'll reach out to him.
I know, I think I sent you an email as far as, January, Bob Manzella would like to appear.
I have him in there
Okay.
for January. Which is, well,
Can I ask you a quick question? Did he contact you before he called me?
Bob Manzella? I don't remember.
Okay.
258 Union Street, invite him to the January 26th meeting, I did. 268 Concord, okay, this is a little bit of a weird one. So we got a call, so back in December, Mark Moran did a repair over at 268 Concord Street to their sewer line. I have no record of them being tied into sewer, they're still on our non-connected list. So Chuck went up there with Gary, and they actually are connected to sewer. So the owner connected under the radar without getting an inspection. I don't know who did it. He's since deceased. And the new people bought it, and the listing said that it was connected to sewer, which it was, so it's really not their responsibility. So the follow-up was Chuck asked me to pull all of the properties on 268 Concord under that person's name, because he owned multiple properties. I just haven't had a chance to do that yet. But then after the repair, we got a call from the water department. They weren't happy with the repair because they think the water line got damaged during the repair to the sewer line, which was Mark Moran. I did not send him a renewal packet to renew his drain layers license based on that particular reason. So there's more to come there. When I have a chance, I will pull those, other properties out of 268 Concord. Not sure if there's anything we can do except to ensure that we're billing them if they are in fact hooked up.
Mine was just curiosity, because there's other properties, are they connected, are they?
Right, we wanna make sure we're collecting the
Yeah.
payments for the
Right.
sewer usage. Pat Burns, 109 West Water, is a resident that's had an ongoing issue for several years where she claims to feel and hear vibrations from the street, which she thinks goes back to when they opened up the street during that major repair a year or two ago. It was before Keith was here. And then so David Taylor's been up there, Keith and Nastasha was there, the police have been there, the building department has been there, and the Board of Health has been there. And it appears that her husband at some point, who's now deceased, ran all the drainage into their own backyard and now into maybe the old septic, and now it's bubbling up, and she doesn't really believe that that's the scenario. She thinks her neighbors are pumping water into her yard. So
I went up as well, and I was trying to explain that to her. They put an addition on with a foundation, and next to that foundation was a boulder. So the pitch of the land wants to direct the water this way, and I think that's creating a dam going, of water, groundwater going that way. Well, as I'm talking to her, her pump kicked out, and it discharged 2 feet out into the backyard, right in front of me, a good 2-inch stream. And I pointed out that water is just going right back into her basement. The resident did not believe that point, so what I'm doing Friday is I'm meeting with Pat Burns, because she cannot get an engineer. Pat agreed to go up there with me, take a look at it and confirm that. If he confirms it, then I'm basically told her I'm gonna write her a letter stating that it's not anything to do with the town or the town drainage. It was due to the construction of that addition and not following proper procedure. Unfortunately, I think that's the only thing we can do at this point.
right, so previously David Taylor cameraed her lines to show her the same exact thing that Chuck is outlining. The problem is stemming from her own property, not her neighbor's property. But in the middle of the night when she hears that vibrating sound, she thinks it's their sump pump pumping water over to her home.
And I had showed her, I said that the only way you can deaden that sound is put a cover over the sump. And there's another issue that she has another access point underneath the foundation in the middle of her soul, and she says, see, there's still water there. I said, your pump's not capturing all the water. It's just a very difficult sales pitch to this
When they
individual.
put that new addition on, they should have had rock underneath the old foundation.
Yeah, they hit a boulder.
I mean, not a boulder, I mean rock, so they can
Yeah,
drain off.
they hit boulders. So,
Boulders?
alright, so like I said, I'm dealing with that Friday.
So that's 109 West Water.
Uh-huh.
And, now that they fixed the heat, it's
Yeah, I was gonna
hot
say,
as heck in
and
here.
I brought a sweatshirt.
513 West Water, they built an addition without a permit. And so the building department has their current permit pending or on hold based on closure of this item where, I believe, Chuck, that you visited them or requested, we sent them a letter, that we know about the construction, that they did it without a permit, and so we're asking them that we wanna review the connection and look at any paperwork that they have, but that letter went out on December 6th, and I don't have a response. So, do you wanna do anything about that? I mean, their current permit is on hold.
No, it's still on hold. I mean, do you want me to give them a call, or what do you think? I mean, I sent the one letter, I could send them a quick, we still have no response from,
I would follow up on it.
all right, I'll follow up in a quick letter.
December being December.
I think I would follow up with building first, just to see if there was any update. Maybe they issued it and it's not pending, even though they said it was pending, you never know what could happen.
I mean, it was-
The annual report.
Annual report, I believe I've done it. I sent out a draft of the two of you to review it. If you have no comments on that, then I'll send it to Robin to review. I don't see, the reason I'm doing it, I don't know if I left anything out or,
Okay, so I just got it, I haven't read it yet. Is that what you'd like to?
Yeah, just tell me what,
No.
if I've
Make some
captured
notes.
everything compared to the
Mhm.
others. If you wanna look at the draft before they
Yeah.
do, I got no problem sending
Yeah,
that.
'cause I have the
I'll
draft
look at the final, did
And I have
you,
one. last year's
did
book.
you share with Dan and Sherry the previous
I
few
believe
years?
you
we-
did, I believe you did.
I
We went up-
think I sent them to you, did I send them to you as well? I think I only sent them
Possibly.
to Chuck.
Oh, I did not send it
Well,
to
I
them.
have the last year's book, so I just looked at
Oh,
it.
you do, okay, fine. That way, that's just would be helpful to see. if-
Yeah, I didn't,
Yeah,
say-
that's
I
kinda
didn't,
what I'm
I
gonna look at
just
is-
assumed you did, so I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, it's
I
fine,
feel
as long
like
as
you
you,
did, I
Alright.
feel like you did.
just so long as you have something to compare, so
Yeah.
you can
Yes,
see if you
I
lost
do.
some track of
I
something.
do, and I saw yours, and that was my plan, is to see
Okay.
Alright, good,
formatting
cause,
the content.
the deadline
My
is
goal's,
February
yeah, my goal's to get it
1st.
to you this week.
That's
Okay,
Friday.
perfect, okay. Bob Galvin is still handling the Rockland rink sign off, was there any update to that?
Nope, last conversation I had with Bob, I had to tickle him to find out when, I think it was at a town meeting. It was the 6th when we went there, and he said he was gonna, it should be, brought to closure, the following day. I did see a trail of emails going back and forth that they picked up a check. I haven't heard any more from Bob whether we should sign off or not.
Alright. Do we just wanna leave it hanging, or do we wanna ask Bob, or?
I'll call Bob, did you get the check? Yeah. I can call him this afternoon.
I think they're using that rink anyways,
It looks like it's open.
cause I could see steam coming from it.
There you get a check.
Yeah, I saw cars going in the evening, so.
I was coming through there, and that was just, you could see the.
Unless he was gonna handle stuff, I don't know. I'll call him.
Yeah, they
Whose
still.
sign off is it, the sewer department?
Sewer, cause he owed highway money.
Is somebody gonna take the lead on setting up the brewery with a no discharge permit, and the dental offices, and the car wash?
That's on the
Oh.
IPP.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah, we were gonna get
So-
together on that.
Did we get our final report from?
Yes, we did, and I
environmental
think I
partners?
sent an email last week to Paul Ryan, requesting a meeting to come in and go over it with us. Next week, I think.
So
I'll-
he,
Okay,
you're talking about the IPP.
the final
Yeah.
report is
Okay,
ready.
so the
Yeah.
whole, can I mention something
Yeah.
about that? The whole concern behind even starting that project with David and I and the IPP people was to review it, but my main concern was to make sure that the language in the permits, the applications matches the new requirements for the NIPD's, and they came back and said, everything was working okay, but you need to do this, make sure the language matches NIPD's, that's what I thought we were paying for.
Well,
Cause I'm not gonna match the language to the NIPD's,
no,
we don't
what I
use-
sent him, now that you said that, what I sent him the email was putting together what exactly would it take to get that up to speed with the NIPD's permit. I wanna know what's involved in getting up, so does it have to go out to bid or what?
No. No, what it needs to do, the program's already in place, it's functioning properly. We need the language for the car wash, and we need the language for the dental to put on the application. And we need to review the application for discharge people and zero discharge to make sure that it matches the new NIPD's. So we just need someone technical to sit down, make sure the paperwork matches the NIPD's to start sending them back out.
Because the application is our document,
Right, the application is
Our
ours, the
document.
program is ours,
so we
it's
just
already
need
set
them
up
to
and
look at.
functioning. We just need to figure out the language to add those three things, dental, a car wash. Actually, four things, discharge and zero discharge.
I'll give it another call.
Yeah, so we
And
just
then we
need,
need instructions how to set them up. Wasn't
Well,
there,
we already set people up, we need a superintendent or somebody to go out there and visit them, give them the package and tell them they need to respond.
okay.
That can be any of you, I suppose.
Alright, I'll give him a call.
Yeah, so I mean, it's
Okay.
good that we got language saying, you know, everything looks good, but we need a little more help, which is what I thought we were asking for in the beginning.
Alright, I'll get him to clarify everything.
Alright. I'd like to sit in that meeting if you don't mind.
No, absolutely, please.
just
Rick,
because
you
when
know,
we-
and get Rick in it as well.
when we do get a, superintendent, I wanna be able to give that back to them and
Mhm.
understand what I'm giving them.
Okay.
So the desktop for Veolia, I think that happened. The GIS iPad, setup has happened. Gino was actually coming in this week, to look at those, and, meanwhile Rick is contacting EPG to set up training for that. And then, okay, so while we've been waiting for ITW Polymer, who was purchased by, Wholesome Solutions, while I've been waiting for them to get back to me with the application with the name change, they had a chemicals problem over there the other day. So they are over in the industrial park, I believe. So on Friday, January 6th, their fire suppression system went off. The chemicals from that went into the town drainage. Gary was over there with highway to ensure that none of those chemicals came into sewer. There was zero discharge permit. It didn't come into the sewer, it did go into town drainage. I just wanted you all to be aware of that. I don't know if there'll be anything more coming from that.
Okay.
But they do have a current permit, just under the name of ITW Polymer.
But that's not
What
done.
industrial park? Which one?
They're down off of, the highway, they're off,
Thank you.
huh? They're off of, Ham, aren't they? Off that. down
I don't know,
that
I'm geographically challenged when it comes
Hasn't
to the
Sally-
town of
way? I think
Rockland.
it is, yeah.
So the permit's in the name of the previous,
Oh, VFW.
It is, but it was
so it's
the,
really, it's
the
not
per-
their permit.
right, but it's an assumed permit, and other permits have been assumed by new owners as well.
And that's fine, but it has not really been assumed yet,
Well, they didn't
because you're
put in
waiting
the
on the
new,
paperwork, right?
well, they just didn't put in the new application, but the other
Yeah,
permit
okay.
isn't good until 2024.
Because the aquifers are over
Yeah.
there too.
They got the new permit in May of 2022,
Mm-hmm,
and then
mm-hmm.
they purchased it
And
after
then it
that.
carries over to the new.
Yeah, but we asked them to provide a new application.
Right, we want their current updated information.
That's what she's
It's
been
the
chasing.
same, but it's the
Yeah.
same exact information, nothing
Right.
changed but the name, the
The
staff didn't change, the manufacturing, nothing changed.
Mhm.
And it's still a zero discharge permit.
Messy. Messy.
Think that's it? You don't need me for the budget stuff? Oh, so, I'm good.
Yeah,
Alright,
we'll drag you in tomorrow.
That's right.
thank you. Are you guys here
Thank you.
until 3:30 or just,
Don't know.
okay. I have some paperwork, hopefully for you to sign.
Right.
Thank you.
Well,
Now, is the aquifers over that way?
I have no idea. I have no idea right now. Most of this stuff they could quick take care of. The confusion in IPP, I think that's just gonna another phone call.
He said it wasn't the brewery, that when he came in, he said it was gonna discharge into.
Yeah,
the
no, we
system.
made it a condition that these are
Yeah.
discharged because the brewery can wreak havoc with a wastewater system. The generator, I wanna get into that. Rick brought up the fact that the generator was kaput. Series of conversations, we found out there may be opera funds available, based on that. We heard of that on November 30th by Lori Childs, I'm very grateful for that. I went before the Board of Selectmen on the 6th, and they approved $200,000 for an existing generator that was available to get the paperwork going. One of the emails in the conversation was that one of the electrical inspectors suggested something to consider. He suggested buying an appropriately sized portable generator. That way we'd only have it on site, and in the future, when we start making upgrades to the plant, we can incorporate a permanent generator as part of that. Well, that came in on December 15th, so Rick and Roy Pierce were chasing that down. By December, it was right after Christmas, they sent me an email that the pricing was just ludicrous. Portable generator was in the vicinity of $400,000 and up. Plus the availability wasn't gonna meet our needs, so I said, for God's sake, pull the pin and let's get that other generator on order. Rick found out last night, I got the email that generator is gone. So the earliest we could probably get a used generator is, because of the delay and everything, is 2024.
I used one?
What?
I used one, 2024, because of some things that have to be done to it. I'm still chasing that down. And that's gonna be in the vicinity of 350,000, so that's something else I wanna run by Doug. So, that generator is gone.
Okay.
Good news is they have this generator running, how long, who knows, it did run under load, it survived, so hopefully it'll last another year.
What generation?
What generator?
Our main generator,
Or the one
Oh, I
at
thought
the
you said it
lease?
was no good.
huh?
The one that's leased?
The one right here, we leased, they got this one, the original, up and running finally.
Oh.
They found the part, got it up and running, ran it under load, it worked. So they got rid of the portable generator we were renting for $9,000 a month. So that's gone, so now we're on to the old backup generator, which how long that'll last, I don't know.
That's wrong.
I don't think it's going to last at all. So we gotta discuss that Thursday with Doug as well, on where that falls into, now with our new budget. So budget and capital needs for the town meeting. You heard my spiel earlier on the EPA, I mean, if we're gonna get to anything to meet those deadlines, we're probably gonna need $4 million to get it going this year, or we're gonna have to put in for an extended deadline, which I don't think we're gonna get, but that's something that needs a broader discussion that can be done in this meeting. We have to involve other people in town on this.
So I would think the 4 million is not gonna come out of our,
No, we'd have to look for granting or funding for federal funding for either way. But then you look at what is the lead time for getting it, and that lead time will based on how long an extension we asked for. Which is why I went back to my original opening, was that I'd like to have a very open meeting with Roy Pierce, Board of Selectmen, Doug Lapp, this board, in open session, so everyone knows what's going on, hear from Roy Pierce and myself, or whoever. Here's the situation we're facing, what do we want to do? We need a game plan at this point. But if I had to go off the cuff for now, we're taking that out of the equation for capital needs. I would say now originally it was gonna be Spruce Street pump motors. But now I'd say generator Spruce Street and pump motors. So we need to know ideally where we stand for budget wise. From that point on, we can go to capital and then figure out what we're gonna do for articles.
Yep, yep.
Floor is yours.
So Robin and I met with Doug and Jen Constable and Scott Curtis last week. I had submitted a preliminary budget. We went through all the items line by line and came up with some other discussions.
Is that this here?
So this is, yes, this is revised to include estimated revenues.
Which one am I looking, okay, this
So-
one, I'll go by the one you're
So,
in, yeah.
yep, that's your capital sheet. These are Robin's current estimated revenues, which are coming in a little bit less. So it's a work in process flow. But what it looks like is we are going to cover the budget with our user fees, with not a lot of room to spare.
In that with the 25% increase,
That includes the 25% increase.
okay.
So, what I learned in this process is this budget we're preparing for 23 to 24 expenses using the income from 22 to 23. So the fact that we put it in effective January was a good thing. That helps to support this budget. Going through it, it was so there are a number of items that Scott is going to provide updated information. The indirect charges, he's gonna which I anticipate is just going to be an increase, but indirect charges. The superintendent's salary, I put in for a general 2% inflationary increase. It's suggested that we look into salary compensations to see if we should increase that considerably in order to attract attendance for applicants for superintendent. So I've put in a message to Stacy to see if she has the salary comps. Robin's salary just increased straight up based on union. And we have an new position for the senior clerk ad on part-time.
And where's that money on this? I don't see it.
Senior clerk. It's not on that list. Let me sure. It's in here. These are, this email is just the open items, but salary is $17,000. That is our new part-timer.
So where'd you come up with that 17,000?
That's based on 15 hours a week. High end of the salary range, I believe. It's 15 hours a week salary, based on a range that I got from Stacy.
Okay.
That's 3 hours a day.
Well, how much she wants to use it the week, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, or, 3 days a week or whatever she does. Substitute payroll, Scott or Doug is gonna look into that. Robin believes that that is the extra fees required, extra costs that we pay her that comes out of the superintendent's salary for this additional time and work, but it's kind of, they did say that they would look into that to get an explanation. Auto allowance is gonna stay the same, retirement and 2 lines will change. Scott's going to provide updated information. Private insured, that's health insurance, stays the same. Contract operations, this is Veolia's.
Mm-hmm.
I had estimated at 7%. Do we know when we'll get the actual contract on that?
That's a set fee, isn't it, for
It's increased based on the consumer price index, and I'm told you get the contract in January once they know what the
that will probably,
index is.
I don't know, I can find that out from them today.
Yeah, I would just need to know what is the real number for that.
That's an easy phone call, I could do that today and email that to you.
Okay, and then potentially adding to that is this extra chemical increases that that Rick was discussing,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
and I will need a guesstimate on that. Or,
He says it's going up almost
is that gonna be,
20%.
Well,
is that gonna be rolled into their contract, or is that extra?
Well, that was-
outside?
That above chemical usage is gonna come out of us.
Okay,
See, that's one of those double-edged swords, I mean, we took a big hit on it, but we had a very dry summer. If we have a wet summer with heat, then that's gonna grow exponentially.
so how do you pay that? Is it considered an overage on the contracts, or is
Overage,
it?
but we've been writing checks against it, with the sewer department's been
Mhm.
paying extra for that.
So that contract would end up going over budget, so we would wanna
Mm-hmm.
increase this budget to take that into effect.
Yeah.
Okay, alright. Computer services, that was increased just based on what's been happening to date, actual expenses, so,
Oh, what do you mean actually happened to date?
expenses year to date, so it's previously budgeted at 12,000, but what we've actually spent would go over that 12,000.
What goes into those computer services?
So those are the billing services that Robin utilizes from town hall,
Okay,
that kind of thing.
here's a question I have on that, in computer services, alright? Town hall charges us for that, But yet, town hall, we do not charge town hall for sewer services.
So that's a bigger discussion than I think I can get into.
It's above my.
Town
We do
hall,
not charge
so-
municipal, we don't
so-
charge municipal for
I
sewerage,
understand that.
yet we're paying municipal fees.
You're paying for the specific services of billing. To not pay those fees, you would have to bring it in-house here, which would most likely be far more expensive for Robin or the staff person to be doing those things. You know, they have a company contracted. I don't think you're looking at much savings there, honestly,
You ask them when it comes Thursday.
but
No,
yeah,
that's, I
it's-
didn't put that on the agenda.
Mm.
I don't wanna muddy up that agenda any more than
No.
it is. That's strange, okay.
I know what you're saying, but I don't think you much benefit value
Okay.
or savings to the legal services. Our current year-to-date budget is 143% over budget, our expenses to budget.
Based on, I haven't seen any bills.
So I have not seen any bills either, and Scott gave me an end of December expense report, and that's where it turned up that it's 143% over, so I've asked him for a
I
detail.
want details.
I've asked him for a detail of the postings, and we should. It was recommended that this 9,000 budget be increased, because we are going to be using the lawyer's services for procurements. And we've got a lot of big contracts coming along.
I thought procurement was part of the town budget, not the sewer department, that when they review, that's why we pay $200,000 a year, the town pays $200,000 a year to retain, town council, and that's part of that, is to review
That-
those things.
You can discuss it with Doug, but I don't think so. I think the sewer department being an enterprise fund, we have to pay our bills.
Okay, I wanna see the detail on that
I
legal.
did ask him for that. The drainage, we increased by 20,000, just based on Robin's, current purchase orders that she has in hand. The repair and maintenance was increased to 250,000. Last year's budget was 178.
Hmm.
I just made sense to me. Things
Yep.
are breaking down. The next budgeted item of inflow and infiltration, we budgeted at 200,000, and I've increased it to 350,000 for two reasons. Dave Taylor indicated that there's 10 manholes that still need to be repaired. And then I put the year 2 I&I control plan in there.
Okay.
Sundries, that pays for the miscellaneous around here, pays for the office furniture. You're gonna need to buy a desk for this new person and so forth. And I've also added 3,000 for training, should we get a superintendent in here that we can.
How much does the superintendent get paid?
Right now,
This year's
$100,000 a
budget
year
is
is what we got
100,000.
posted.
And how much is this?
And benefits is packages 28 to 30%, Stacy told me to use 30%.
So we're saving $140,000 a year.
$130,000 a year technically. for
Plus a
this.
truck.
Well, we're still paying for the truck.
Truck's paid for.
Right, but that's
Yeah.
not here now.
Yeah, well, that's another conversation that I think we should have. Insurance, debt interest payment, Scott's gonna get us updated numbers on that. So this budget is, as I said, based on the 25% increase effective in January.
And
Now, Robin reworked the revenue numbers, so the top of the page is at 3,000,006 revenues, she's reworked it 3,000,005,
you know,
so it will,
3,500,000 is what you
Yes.
feel we're gonna have.
yes, yes.
And so then we do have enough to just cover this.
So we're just covering the budget. What's not included in here is the project fees that we get. We have I&I fees and then we have the development fees. That is not included in this budget. That's what gets used for some of these other projects that we have going.
Right. Which is more important, we get that work going and get an income in there. Which was on a good news, the one good news I had received is that the, Roy Pierce, Weston Sampson approved the bid from Green Mountain National Pipeline Services.
Right.
So that was good, that's gonna be posted, so we can have a meeting probably within 3 weeks about scheduling that work to be done. Luckily, with this weather, the way it's going, we could start almost immediately.
That's good. That's excellent.
But you have to get through February.
Yeah, once we get through February, but I'm being optimistic. Don't rain on my parade.
Alright.
So part of this budget discussion is ARPA funds. I had met with Jen in December just to go through and make sure that she and I had the same understanding of what ARPA funds there were available and what we are using and so forth. And there's kind of a misconception that there's a pot of money in ARPA funds sitting at Town Hall's bank account, when actually it flows through Plymouth County and has to be approved and documented.
I understand that.
So that was, but what I'm saying is that was a good education for me so that I understand the process. So as we move into this Green Mountain, we need to be very careful and controlled on all our documentation.
Oh, absolutely.
And
I have a couple questions on ARPA, just to bring you up to speed. One, what I did with the generator, that's in limbo now, and I need to find out from Doug on that.
yes,
One of the other issues was the digester boiler project. Part of the delays forced us to rent a standby boiler, which consumes a copious amounts of fuel oil. And my position was that those delays were caused strictly by the contractor, who had a date done on the document of September 22nd. So in light of that, I withheld the last payment to them till we have a meeting next week on what they want to do with the oil. We're not eating the oil bill.
and I'm fairly confident it would not be covered by any ARPA funds.
Oh, no, it
either,
wouldn't
so
be.
it would be us.
Yeah, no, so I'm have no intention of it. The, if you want, the negotiating tool is they're gonna be bidding on the piping as well. So, I just wanna bring you guys up on that.
So that was the budget request, the budget meeting. As I said, there's a number of information still to come from Scott. I'll get some information from Stacy on the salary for the superintendent, and we will need to have a discussion about the superintendent.
I think we do.
I totally wanna have a full discussion about that, and the direction we're moving.
So one of the things I was doing on that word is on the budget. Looked at the cost we were incurred with, Violi handling the present projects. And, technically, that's what I've come up with is a quick spreadsheet on some savings for that. This
Okay.
number here is if we looked at the salary with budget, that if we look, with benefits, that without. I know that's not a microscopic view of it, but, we've got to do
There's-
something as far as getting someone, and we can have the discussion about a trainee, but I think there's too much going on for a trainee. That's my feeling, but we'll have that at another date.
Yeah, we should, because, Robin just rattled off, half a dozen or more properties that needed attention for one reason or another.
Again, I
That's
go
what a
back to, is that a
superintendent would do.
superintendent to do, is that warrant, but Nick, from what I found, I'm just going there, yep, okay, and out. That's
Well-
what we gotta look at.
But is that what you should be doing? We can do it.
No,
I
should we
can
be
do
doing
this.
it? No, we're not getting
Should
paid
we?
to do it.
No, we shouldn't. So that's where I'm heading with this discussion.
Okay, and you know, you may be right, because I'm running 15 Wasted Sunday, to be honest with you.
Mhm. And, you know, we
Well,
have 3 meetings this week. You
I'm
know.
just saying that, I know I just got done with my house, but, somebody out there?
Yeah, but Robin's in her office.
But, could we get somebody from the highway department?
Well, I think that's part of a bit, you know, if we,
4 hours a week.
This is,
if-
this is the discussion
there's a
that we need to
discussion, if we
have.
go any further with that, we're gonna be
Yeah.
violating the
Yeah.
open meeting law.
Yeah, okay.
But we really need a dedicated,
Yeah,
Alright, so I'll tell you what, you can pick a day next week to do that, but I want to get through budget items
I agree.
before we even address that.
Well, yeah, somewhat, yes.
And the other thing is too, that we have to take in effect is articles, because
Yeah.
we gotta get the ordinance in there, we have to,
The articles are funded with whatever's left over from our budget, which, as we've just seen, is not gonna be a whole lot.
no,
Mm.
which
We need
leads
to think
back to
about
discussion
that.
on the,
well, that's what we, you know. get
Right,
every now
we'll
and
have to start looking at what is it in this budget that we can trim, or,
I think a
Really,
broader
do it right
discussion
now.
is, you know, and I think,
I think,
how the hell did the department get into this pickle?
well, we know how that happened.
Yeah.
Years and years, and it's just rolled up to now. And everybody is aware of that, they're
I hope
cognizant of
people are
it.
aware that we're breaking our tails trying to make these things work, and
Mhm.
we're financially
But-
up against it, and I'm gonna be, I'll tell you, cause I don't wanna violate the open meeting law, I'm withholding some information that I'm aware of that I need some direction on, and I think it has to be done in an open public meeting when we do disclose some of this. Because it's, the numbers I came up with when I looked at 2018, what a facility would cost, I was right on the money, I'm not saying, I'm right all the time, I'm not, but I have a good feel for this, and what my feel is telling me is that we are in worse shape than we think we are.
Well, yeah, because we don't have any reserves, and we're just finally getting on top of the budget,
We're just digging out from the,
from the
believe me.
budget, and normal operating expenses. But our capital planning is where we start looking at the shape of the whole,
But the reason I'm bringing
Plan.
this up is the unfortunate
yeah,
bearers of this are gonna be the end users, the residents.
right.
And I wanna make sure before we pull any kind of trigger, that everyone's on the same page.
Well, and that's part of what this rate study's supposed to tell
Yeah,
us.
and I don't like what I'm seeing in it, to be honest with you.
So,
How do you wanna go about this now, Sharon? I'm gonna leave the financial part up to you. I have down budget and capital needs. I hope, what I was attempting to do, okay, identify how we wanna approach it. Again, opening the budget, you did that.
yeah.
Do you wanna meet tomorrow? Do you need these figures from Scott before we meet again to discuss budget?
So, with the budget, it's under a time constraint through town hall, because they have to report to Department of Revenue and so forth and so on. With the changeover in the state administration, there's, signs feel that there's another 4 weeks built in here, so we have some wiggle room. But I would like to, you know, at least have a pretty good idea by this time next week of where we stand.
Okay, I'm leaving this totally up to you when you wanna call a meeting on it.
All right, let me see what kind of information I can pull
Do you
together
want to
during the
meet
week.
tomorrow?
I don't think I would have anything extra to add.
All right, I would like to meet Thursday with Doug.
Yes,
I think that's important that I
Yes.
bring you guys up to speed on that.
yes,
Because this whole thing, the way I had it planned, I had it broken down, facility study, a year to digest it. CWMP, year to digest it. That AO, that order just blew that schedule right out of the water. And I know from looking at that permit, and I'll bounce it off for 15 ways to Sunday, we cannot meet that phosphorus need under the current conditions.
yeah,
Even if we went with a secondary tertiary system first and said, okay, we're gonna do that, you're looking at $10 million, that still has to be designed. But to do that first without looking at the entire facility, we're gonna pay for it in the other end, because costs are gonna go up, because now we gotta design around that one process. So this is what we gotta spill out on the table.
we're in a spot because everything is failing. But to fix it now is gonna interfere with the grand plan of the whole upgrade. But to wait is dangerous in itself because.
Well, I
that's
just don't
gonna-
want us being
You're
portrayed,
gonna spend money.
right, I just didn't want us to be portrayed as the bad guys with other items that are coming up on this town meeting. I don't care what other projects are out there, honestly, I was elected to look at the sewer
We have to
department.
focus
And
on this.
when I look at that, I'm gonna do my due diligence, and I'm not gonna rush into anything, which I think I'm doing with this upgrade. I think we have enough information to do okay, here's where we are, which is what I'd like to do, grease the skids with Doug Thursday. Say, here's what I would like to do, and I hope you'd support me on this. I think anything we should do with this upgrade, even preliminary conversation, should be done in open meeting.
Absolutely, yeah,
Because this has too big an impact on the town. And if I don't wanna be in a position to say we hit anything before town meeting and other things that are coming up.
no, this board's always been 100% open.
So I really think we should push, I would like the Board of Selectmen there. I would encourage the Board of Selectmen, not just our liaison.
It's gonna be,
And I'd like Scott
big
there.
project, absolutely, yeah.
But I want the public aware to
Scott?
see it and aware of
And the
it
board
here.
and the town administrator are all involved in this upgrade.
Well, like I said, I've been looking at, and I know I've dumped a lot on you, you don't understand, I can handle the technical, but I can't handle it all. I've been looking at these USDA grants, rural development grants, and I think that's the way we're gonna have to approve it. I don't think we stand a snowball's chance in hell in getting a debt exclusion through. I don't think I could not present that, or an override,
I don't think we get it,
so that's why I need some help.
yeah, I don't think we get it. And bring them in because they know where to look for this.
Again, maybe it's just paranoid on my part, I just don't want to be accused of anything that I did not have a part of developing. I mean,
No,
this hole is deeper than I thought it was, and I was accused of preaching doom and gloom, but
It is.
I think,
It is. I mean, we can get out of it, it's just how we get out of it, and we gotta do it smart,
we have to do it smart.
and we can't do it alone.
And I think all the other parties understand the situation now.
I don't think they're gonna like what I have to say.
No, but, well, I don't like what you have to say, but it is what it is. We have to figure out a way out of it.
Anyway,
So the capital planning, we didn't really discuss too much because there were a lot of questions that I didn't have the answer for.
we wanna go
I
over quickly
took-
while we're here?
We can if,
Sure, if
Well-
we're here.
I'll tell you what occurred, is this capital planning sheet, I had, taken the previous years and then just tried to add to it and adjust it. For example, I infiltration recuperation, I said you can take that out because it's being, do you have that one? Yeah. It's being,
Since you might as well jack it with that one.
do you have to do that, Doug?
All this is gonna be out on,
This
in
is
the
all
minute
for
public
Thursdays.
meeting, yeah.
Yeah, and this is gonna be discussed Thursday because there were just too many questions that I didn't have the knowledge because I wasn't involved in last year's capital planning.
I think we might as well take a list of Thursday.
I mean, I would. My only question was, tell me about Spruce Street ejector station.
Excuse me?
The Spruce Street.
Spruce Street is a
on
similar
this-
thing we did to Butternut.
Butternut. Okay, so
Spruce Street, I don't think Spruce Street, and I'm not keep saying this but it's fact, there's been neglect, I don't think it's gonna last another year.
Okay.
It's flooded, and I would say a minimum of 100
Yeah.
with what's been going on inflationary, I would say I'd put in 125,000 to begin with.
alright, so that was on here, but I didn't really know.
But I'll bump the
I didn't know if
generator.
it had been done or,
No, we've been
okay.
talking about it, I think, I was gonna make that number one. Number two was gonna be pump replacements, we're gonna need pump replacements. And number three, I thought the generator was gonna be covered, but that's gonna take number one.
So they got that antique back up running?
We gotta back up, they got the water pump on, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
They didn't see any visible cracks.
They run?
Rick was gonna spark it up, and I told him I'd like to spark it up under load
Yes.
to see, and I guess they ran it last week.
How many
I'm
hours?
losing track, I think they ran it 4 or 5 hours. They ran it under load no, I think 4 hours, ran it under load. So that was one thing. The boiler was supposed to go online December 23rd, it did not, it didn't go online till last Friday. Rick unfortunately was out with a family matter, a family emergency. They sparked it up yesterday. It's supposed to be running on methane now, whether it is or not, I'm not sure. I think it is. Whether it's running 100%, I don't know. That was what I'd hopefully have him today.
Then I use the stainless steel pipe already hooked up and everything?
No, that pipe is junk. That pipe is absolutely junk. We have a quote now, an engineering spec on the piping to go out to bid, which is covered by opera, so that's going out. And that's ready to go out to bid now. I just approved it, Veolia approved it, so now they got all the paperwork ready to go, just submitting it to Jen and getting it up on the combis. I asked them to hold on to that till I have my oil discussion. Because so people know that we're looking at probably, we had to pay a little over close to $20,000 in oil on something we didn't plan on. That the sewer department had no bearing on. Listen, in closing, I'm always thanking Viola in that, but I wanna tell the two of you how much I appreciate your help. I really do. This has been a long, hard battle since 2017. And you have no idea how much I appreciate the help.
You know, it's the, problem is you get the raise this year for 25%. What are you gonna do next year?
Yeah.
I mean, this is.
Well, I know, see, that's a problem, I know what it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
this has to
gonna
be-
be,
I don't wanna go into that right now,
yeah,
okay?
I wouldn't either, but I can.
I think we've gotta tank that till I'll go
We need
into
that
those
rate
numbers
study.
Thursday night, at our Thursday night meeting on the 26th.
When's that rate study coming out?
I asked today to have that draft expedited, so that you have it in your hands before I discuss it on the 26th. You'll have the draft. The rate study finalized, will not be here till the first week of February. But one thing I want you and everyone in the public to know about the rate study. What the rate study and CWMP do is they look at, we gave them a 30-year window because you can't just keep planning year to year. In business, you have a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, then you go out on your planning, which is something this department never did. So we told them, I told them I wanted them to go out 30 years. This rate study is going to look at everything this sewer commission and the town of Rockland has in front of it. Now, you have to remember that to do this study, they talk to every single department in town. They talk to accounting, highway, town administrator, assistant town administrator. They're looking at population growth. They broke the town into different areas and how that will grow and what is the likelihood for that. They look at possible offloading of wastewater per the EAO, and that's all gonna be rolled into the rate study. That rate study is gonna be based on what do you need for 30 years. Now, you heard a brief discussion on what we need now,
Right,
okay? So that rate is going to be impacted significantly.
Oh.
Now, those rates that we were talking about in this rate study are based on the original facility assessment in 2020 of $50 million. That $50 million now, to do that, is probably in the vicinity of 72 to 80 million. So, if I look depressed today, that's why.
We should know. This has been an ongoing thing for you.
Yeah, it is. You know, but you know what?
has,
Yeah,
and we just
unfortunately,
have to find our way through it.
we have to
That's
find
all.
our way through it. I'm not
Find our
being
way through
being
it.
a bummer of it, but you know where I'm disappointed at? I'm disappointed as a taxpaying resident of the town that I got to this point. You know, that's where my ire is. And then when I say ire, I'm really angry about that. And when I look at it, I think of seniors in town saying, what the hell are they gonna do?
Oh, no.
Anyway, with that, I wanna, before we get any more too deeper,
So let's talk about our next meetings.
okay, I am gonna cancel tomorrow.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
we
expect, if any extra information we can
What
talk about on
what I would
Thursday.
appreciate is the time tomorrow also to get some more information that I can present to Doug in a intelligent, non-babbling manner. You know, as far as, my conversations with the EPA.
And I can look at your annual
Yeah,
report
if you
tomorrow.
would.
Yeah.
That's what you can do with your time off tomorrow. Look at my draft, year end.
Great homework.
Look at the old ones.
Yep.
I try to follow that.
Yep.
Excuse me, and I try to put up everything we've been doing.
Mhm.
I ended up with 6 pages, so
You-
feel,
You did, so yeah, it's like,
no, I know,
but
but
you know, the book had 4 pages, so that's okay.
No, but you know what,
We had
that-
a lot going on.
Wait,
no, what I try to do is put down everything I could think of when I'm
Yes.
hoping you guys would say, yeah, we don't need this, we don't need this, we don't need this, we
Okay.
don't need this.
Happy to do it.
So I just, that's what I said, I just puked.
Well, I mean, we
Well,
all know you can't cut much out of here right now. You're down to the.
We are just covering,
Well, I'll be honest with you, there is good news that we're covering this year's budget, all right?
yeah, we are, we're on top of it.
You know
That's a
what,
good thing.
the thing is, last year at this time, we wouldn't have been able to do that,
That's right, so,
you know that,
so
so
count that as
take
a
that as a one positive.
progress step, and, alright, so no meeting tomorrow.
No, so with that, I'm
And
gonna take
then
a
40
meeting.
No, please wait, the following Tuesday we'll meet.
Right.
Can we meet that week, the 17th?
Oh, do you, no, hold it, I'm gonna
to
put
talk
that
about a
Tuesday,
superintendent?
I'm gonna change, that Tuesday meeting is totally dependent on you, on budgetary, all right?
Okay.
Because I wanna make sure the budget, Chris Kenny is an afterthought. All I gotta do is give him enough notice, so I could put him off a month right now. And say, Chris, we need to get rid of the budget stuff.
That's the
first."
Abington agreement.
Yeah,
Okay, so if we plan next Tuesday for budget and superintendent discussion, not next Tuesday, yeah.
I wanna have a
next Tuesday,
separate meeting on
17th.
superintendent.
Whatever,
You wanna do it next week?
yeah, why not, get it started,
All right, budget and
Mhm.
superintendent, that's the
Yeah.
only two.
yeah. Then we should have after our meeting Thursday with,
We should have some, as long as Scott
Capital
gets,
planning.
gets you that info.
and that gives me all week to get some information from Scott, pull it together. And then the superintendent, because, yeah, let's do that, the
Hmm.
17th.
Okay, go. That'll take a
Skip
motion to
tomorrow.
end the meeting.
Make the motion.
Second,
I third it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is over.
done,
Thank you, guys.
that's it.
I'm trying to think of the information I gotta get. What I owe you is a, detailed minutes of what, conversation that took place today.
Yeah.
I will get that out to you tomorrow. What I need you to do is look at the minutes of what my previous conversation with the EPA was, and then today's.
Which you're getting to.
And look at my other thing, and I am going to go up to, I gotta follow up to 513 with water,
Can I have this?
Are we
and
supposed to-
call up IPP.
Wine Street, we don't need, that's not for us, right? There's a front right here when I got here.
Yes, no, I had asked Robin just to make extra copies.
Oh, Dwyer, that's Dwyer, yeah. Dwyer Street, so you know, the rework I asked him to do on the drainage, he did, and we signed off.
Oh, that's money back.
Huh? He wants money back. Put that on next, put on that
That's
on,
another one, yeah,
I'm gonna tack that on to Thursday.
okay.
Okay, Dwyer Street originally came in with, I'm gonna say
Did we
6,
get new plans just so we can document the change?
I don't know, I think this may
That's
be
what I
it.
would want.
Okay, so you know what
I
happened?
couldn't find the number of bedrooms on there.
Okay, Dwyer Street came in, no, units. Dwyer Street came in with an original plan, I wanna say, because I'm going on top of my head, with 19 units, now he's only with 16. We gave him fees based on the 19, now he wants a refund.
Yeah, that's fine. Units and bedrooms.
Huh?
Our
Yeah.
bedrooms have more or
And
something?
bedrooms.
Less, he went less.
Yeah, you want less, but we need both units and bedrooms.
Yep, that's the number that changed.
So
He
that's.
did, he went from 16 to these. Do we grant him a refund?
It's gonna
No
take-
discussion.
Just prove it, that's all. That's a whole nother discussion, is fees, but
No, we gotta get into fees, but until we thought that work on, the good thing was
No,
that I work is been approved.
that's
We can
great.
get Green Mountain in.